What? What's it like being a gun tuber? So I figured, since we are at the 3-year mark, and I know it doesn't seem that long since I started making videos for the Hungry Handgunner, that we'd kind of talk a little bit about what that's been like and what to expect if you're wanting to get into doing this, at least from my very limited perspective. So there's a couple caveats before we go any further. Understand that I'm not an expert. I have zero reason that you should listen to anything I say here, other than I've been doing it for 3 years and I still enjoy doing it. Pushing 10,000 subs, and that's really it. There's bigger channels that will be able to give you a lot more information and a lot more in-depth whatever, and tell you more about camera equipment that you should use and what editing software. Look, I am stumbling my way through this like Helen Keller on an obstacle course. Picture Ray Charles in a Formula One race, all right? So I am literally making this crap up as I go and figuring it out. But 3 years in, roughly 10,000 subs, I still enjoy doing it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that's like. Now, for starters, understand that a lot of this is going to depend on your family dynamic, your friends, your life, whatever you've got going on. I'm a married guy with 3 kids who comes from a family of lukewarm Second Amendment supporters for the most part. And by lukewarm, I mean, yeah, they like it, but I'm really the only one that gets out and trains. I'm really the only one that is this way about firearms and the political aspect of gun ownership, although it really shouldn't be political. It kind of is, unfortunately. So there's not a lot of understanding that goes on at the Thanksgiving dinner table when the subject turns to guns. I would argue most people don't even want to bring them up because I feel very strongly, and I will geek out and nerd out and talk about them ad nauseum. So not a lot going on there on the family support side of things. Some people were excited with the venture. They were excited that I was doing this. I was kind of getting out of my shell. My dad died in 2017, blah, blah, blah. This is a way for me to process that and kind of put that energy somewhere creative instead of destructive. So initially, I think everybody was, oh, good for him, you know, and now they're like, my God, what is going on? So I do it for fun. It is cool. It is nice. No, I'm not rich, and definitely not rich because of YouTube. So we're going to talk about the monetization and stuff later. I have a feeling that's what a lot of you guys want to know about. And sadly, there's not that much to tell, although YouTube is not the anti-gun demon that people make them out to be. From a day-to-day basis, I'd say the biggest challenge that most people are going to find doing the gun thing on YouTube is you really have 2 avenues. You can be a shooter who also talks about guns, or you can talk about guns and not really show much of your shooting or do much shooting. There are people that know orders of magnitude more than I ever will as far as to when this model was produced and how they make it do this and the inner workings of a firearm that don't really shoot much, or collectors that know the value of something and why it has that value, and I have no clue. I'm somewhere in the middle. I like all the gadgets and gizmos. Yeah, we'll just roll with it. I like all the stuff and I like collecting, but more importantly, I like getting out here and shooting it. So if you're going to be a shooter type channel where you want to get out and shoot on camera, well, you're going to need a place to do that. Now, fortunately, because of where I live, which is rural North Georgia, it's not that hard to find a spot. In fact, this is my own little private range, which is cool, but comes with its own set of caveats. How do your neighbors feel about it? Are there certain times you can shoot and other times where you can't? You notice I don't do a lot of light reviews that involve shooting because I can't really do that here in good conscience. I don't think the law would get called, but I really prefer to not get the 1-finger salute driving up and down the road, if you know what I mean, from blasting off, 10, 11 o'clock at night. So be mindful of others around you. I do try to send a text out before I do some shooting to let a couple people know, hey, I'm going to be doing this today. If it's that big of a deal, they can make alternate plans. If it's not that big of a deal, well, then it is what it is. At least they're aware of what's going on. So there is that to consider. Also, guns, ammo, targets, none of that stuff is cheap, especially right now. So there is that to contend with, and I don't think I got my first free product offer until I had been doing it maybe 6 months or so, and that was a belly band holster, which if you've watched any of my content, you know is not really something that I enjoy reviewing, stuff that I'm not going to use. So there is that. And that kind of brings me to my next point. It's going to be very, very tempting, especially at first, especially when people aren't beating down your doors or just bombarding your email about reviewing things. It's going to be very difficult to turn those down. I would urge you to use some caution, because it's going to be very tempting to show those products in a positive light, especially when, well, you're not getting that many offers. So somebody sends you something, you do, at least I did, I felt an obligation to say the best stuff I possibly could about it. And oftentimes that was worded as, well, you know, it's not really my thing, but it might be your thing. So and that's a question only you can answer, you know, where is the line? Where is that integrity meter, if you will? So for me, it's one of those things where if I can't get out here and use it, I turn products down. And I know that sounds funny, you know, if somebody's watching this with a much bigger channel, you know, I'm not throwing stones, but there does come a point where if it's about money, those interests can be conflicted at times. So just do your best, and if you mess up, you know, be honest about it. And I'll throw a link up there to a video where I had to walk something back. Not a fun video to make. Fortunately, the blowback wasn't what I thought it was going to be, so that made it a lot easier. But still kind of a humbling thing to have to do. And the worst part of that was I was using those products, specifically Olight. I literally had my holsters that I paid for molded for those lights because I was using them. And then to realize that maybe people had bought those products because I was endorsing them and showing them, favorable reviews, because at the time of review, after a lot of use and vetting, they were still working fine. The knowledge that somebody had made that kind of decision, potentially with gear that they may have to depend on one day, kind of made me take a step back and look at the sort of stuff that I'm recommending or reviewing. And hey, even if it was good to go when I made the initial video, in time it may not be. So there is that. I guess the amount of weight that you feel from that can vary. But for me, and as somebody that knows all too well what it's like to make critical decisions and have to make them with budget in mind, you know, it wasn't a good feeling that maybe I had helped steer somebody down a path that wasn't necessarily the best one they could have taken. So there is that. The gun community is one of the most welcoming, wholesome, family-like communities that I have seen, and also can be one of the most just toxic, hateful, I don't even know all the adjectives you could throw in there, but it is a very weird kind of place. So I guess initially coming into this, I was like, hey, they'll see me as one of their own, and maybe they did. But at the same time, you know, you may like a gun, somebody else doesn't, or people may be singing the praises of another gun, and when you review it or you play with it or you don't like it, you're going to catch some flack for that. So just be ready for that. Grow some thick skin. And that's something I'm still working on. So yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I have all the answers there. But it is definitely something to watch out for. If you catch yourself getting a little too emotionally vested in the comments section, take a step back. Take a breather. Don't make an ass of yourself trying to one-up the next person down the line who probably has no videos of their own to demonstrate whatever they're saying. Which brings me to the next point. Regardless of what you do on the range, how good you get, there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to comment and let you know that when they were with the 5th Ranger Delta SEALs company, they did it this way, and you're wrong, and you're an idiot, and you should just never shoot guns again. Just calmly ask them to post the video of them doing whatever it is and move on. So just have a thick skin, because it's going to be rough at times. So why keep doing it? You know, I've talked about the trolls in the comments. I've talked about the responsibility, the work aspect. Actually, I haven't really talked too much about the work aspect of it, but it's a lot. You know, what you see out here with the shooting, with the filming, is only one tiny little fraction of it. Now, there's a million different ways to do the filming aspect of it. Now, fortunately for me, I guess I'm in a quiet enough place I don't have to travel, but also unfortunately for me, that remoteness of where I live that allows me to shoot here, not a lot of help coming to run a camera, hence why I'm doing it with a little remote tripod thing. So there's that to contend with. I've had a lot of people over the last 3 years that are like, hey man, I'll run a camera for you, and well, yeah, here we are. So beware, that's kind of like when, oh yeah, let me know when you're ready to move, and then moving day gets there and pizza and beer and you're by yourself. So there is that. Just know that that's probably going to happen, especially early on. If you don't have the financial incentive to offer people, they're probably not going to be knocking at your door willing to help you, which is what it is. I'm not slamming anybody in particular, but just be aware of that and find a workaround. But after I get done filming, I then got to go inside and I got to edit. Now, if you're a single dude and your time is all yours, that's great. I'm not. So I'm married, kids, job, whatever. Just be aware there's a lot more to it than just hit and record on a camera. But why keep doing it then, right? Well, I enjoy it. I enjoy the creative aspect. I enjoy getting out here and staring at a little red light. Now, one day, we'll get real personal here. One day I'm not going to be here anymore. And whether my kids are into guns like I am or not, they will have me on camera talking about guns. So at a minimum, they'll get to hear my voice and whatnot on these videos. If that's going to be one of your motivations as well for making content, it wouldn't be a bad idea to make some stuff for their eyes only, if you know what I mean. God forbid something happen, they can look at those videos later on. But when my dad passed, there wasn't a lot of video footage of him and missing hearing his voice. So that's one reason I keep doing it. The other reason is I legitimately enjoy shooting, and doing this allows me to share that hobby with other people and prompts discussion about said hobby and guns and whatnot. So there is that. And the monetary side of it, there is some money involved. There's not nearly what people think there would be, or what I thought there would be at this point, but it's out there. And it's enough, fortunately, to help offset some of the cost of doing this, which, if you're a shooter and you're watching this, then you understand is not always cheap. The other reason is for you, and by you I mean anybody watching this, but particularly my longtime subscribers and channel members and Patreon supporters. The amount of messages I have gotten, and normally they come at a time when I don't feel like what I'm doing really matters. I'll get an email or a comment, and it just kind of reminds me that there's more to it than what I see from this end of the camera and this end of the computer. That this has helped people at different points, which sounds so crazy, even saying it out loud right now. It's just weird to me, but apparently I have. And those messages, they mean a lot, whether that's helping them through a difficult period of their life, or whether that's helping them decide on what gun to go with, or what light or ear pro or drills to try at the range. Everything from stuff that doesn't really matter to stuff that arguably could be said matters a lot. So there is that. But if you're watching this and you think, well, you know, there's already a lot of gun channels. Sure there are, and there's going to be a lot more because other people are taking that leap. But nobody is you, and nobody's going to do things exactly the way you're going to do them. So don't try to do them the same way as everybody else. And again, I'm a small guy, less than 10,000 subs as of filming, which is November 1st, 2021, for posterity's sake. But even then, there's room for a lot of people at this table, and everybody's got different experiences and opinions that they can bring, and the more of a vocal presence that we are, I think that's good. So last thing I'll touch on is monetization. YouTube is not some big anti-gun whatever, and I know we joke about YouTube demonetizing videos. That's our big thing as gun tubers, as we talk about it, and they do. I get limited ads or no ads on quite a few videos. It's not so much YouTube. It's the companies that are running the ads that are saying, we don't want to be associated with that. And YouTube saying, well, these guys don't want to be associated with that. So I get it. It's business. It is what it is. So when you hear a gun tuber say, you know, if you want to be a patron or you want to be a channel member or whatever, they're not joking. It makes a big difference, and the monetization status of gun channels is kind of up in the air. You just never know. You can put your heart and soul into making a video and sometimes not earn anything back from it. So it is what it is. If you're watching this, I'm not saying you have any obligation to be a patron or channel member. I certainly don't feel that way on my channel. I'm going to make videos with or without help. It just makes it easier. And so I'll use this opportunity to give a very big shout out to my channel members and Patreon supporters. It means a lot to me. I know everybody out here works super hard for the money that they've got, and especially being a gun channel, we likely have the same hobby, and I am all too aware that the money you send me each month, you could be using yourself to do our mutual hobby here. So it doesn't go unnoticed and it doesn't go unappreciated. So there's that. So if you're on the fence, get your camera, your phone, or whatever, and start filming, start videoing stuff. Have a good time. And if you want to know more about editing and the ins and outs of the YouTube algorithm and whatnot, I'll try to help you, but I am not your guy there. I am very much feeling this out as I go. So there are a lot of other channels that specialize in that sort of stuff out there on YouTube, and some very good information you can find. So with that being said, I've rambled on enough, but after having this gun channel for 3 years and counting, those are kind of my reasons why I do it. It's incredible. There's nothing else like it. And then getting to meet up with other gun YouTubers at various functions and whatnot has been a lot of fun. So it's not going to happen overnight, but if you, right, it might. It didn't for me, but it might for you. Just get out there and have fun with it. So, and don't measure your success by somebody else's yardstick. So there is that. Guys, stay safe, keep shooting, and I'll see you next time.